Would first like to recognize today the tremendous amount of work and time that went into the preparation of our Apple one-to-one rollout. Today we assembled, I believe, about nearly 3,000 students in the high school gym to award them their computer laptops from Apple according to our schedule that was defined by our team. And it was an amazing day and a lot of excitement. And if I may, if I can take a few minutes to sort of review, because we had so much excitement, we had a little trouble hearing each other and hearing the speakers and try to summarizing the gist of why we did this and how it came to be. So for our listening audience and our viewing audience, I would like to take a few minutes and review that process, if I may. The first thing we did was recognize 4 students. If you saw the banners around the city or the T-shirts, Mr. Johnson still has his on, and others. Dr. Larson, one-to-one. It's just one bite. The world can be yours. And then also the banner of "Have you had your apple today?" Those have been across the city in T-shirts. And those were designed by LaDeja France, Lakeitha Jefferson, D'Angelo Gonzalez, and Marcus Camarillo. And Mr. Trevino was able to recognize them on behalf of the board with certificates of appreciation today. And that was part of the ceremony. Also recognized all of our board members, past and present. We were joined today by Ernest Jones, who was part of the original Apple team from who had been serving on the board for a number of years, and we were happy to have him there to take part in the activity that he worked for when he was a member of the board. We recognize the strategic plan core team. This was a group of about 34 people from our community. Mrs. Valdez and Mr. Johnson served as representatives to the board, and these were people who came together in November of 2009 and began to develop the components for our strategic plan, focused on belief statements, mission, objectives, parameters, and ultimately the 9 strategies. We also recognize the 9 strategy co-team leaders, another group of 18 individuals from the community who spent time leading members from the area on those 9 strategies that resulted in about 122 action plans and 600 plus action steps. And so that plan has since then been our guide for a lot of the initiatives. And again, that was the long-term plan that was providing us the roadmap for the future. We're very pleased that members of our City Council were there today. Lenny Fershinsky and Christine Vasquez were able to join us, and Rich Medina as well. And Robert Garcia, of course, is a member of our team, but also represents City Council. Our building corporation was represented by Joe Johnson, Kathy Apollo, and John Gomez. This corporation was critical because they helped finance, to a degree, our Apple initiative, as well as some of the other projects in our area. We're very pleased to see the City of East Chicago represented in various departments, from building, transportation, central services, all the way down through, and have folks there from the clerk's office and the judicial system as well to support the effort. And then from our own school administration, all of our central office personnel, as well as our building principals, except in the elementary, were there today to take part in the exercises as well. We were really pleased to have members of the Apple computer team that have been working with our school district since March of last year, in beginning the discussion first and then ultimately planning from July through the fall to help us realize today, quite honestly. Mike Miley, the senior systems engineer, Eric Wheatley, same capacity, Joe Lee, who has presented to our board on a number of occasions, Indiana account executive for East Chicago, Tim O'Boyle, a technical project manager, and Greg Wilmore, a regional manager, and John McMahon, the senior project manager. These were people that Apple sent us from all over the country to ensure that we had an effective implementation for our deployment, at least for the first part today. We were very honored to have a number of speakers with us today, starting with Mr. Milton Reed from Global Consulting, who is working with the city on providing infrastructure for the wireless network, but Mr. Reed also served as a member of our core plan team, so he had a dual advantage. John Beekman, Senior Vice President of Operations from Apple, was here. John has taken over East Chicago as a major interest for the Apple computing community because of the uniqueness of our school system and the commitment that the board and the community has made to providing one-to-one computers for our students. We were honored that Mayor Anthony Copeland was there today to reaffirm his support of the district, as well as support to continue on with the Apple infrastructure as part of the city's development, so that all of our students may realize a wireless network hopefully by the summer. So that was not a targeted area when we approached this starting in the summer, but to have our students have wireless capacity at home with their computers will be a tremendous advantage for them and their families, so that learning can take place throughout the summer and 24/7 if necessary. We were encouraged that Linda Jagadich, who is a member of our support team, is a district intervention specialist who's helped us, as you know, with Read 180 implementation and Fast Forward implementation. Also wears the hat of a vice president of our teacher association, and she was very gracious to be at our meeting today and to discuss how technologies will alter the methodologies of teachers and how the landscape will change for how instruction is delivered, across the board in our district. Mrs. Jagadich has continued to be a very positive supporter of all the initiatives here, and gives us an extra asset by being part of the discussion with the association. DeAndre Hudson and Marianne Cataldi, two excellent teachers at the high school, one in the fine arts and also one in the technology project Lead the Way arena. Both have been using technologies for years, and now they look like two kids in candy stores. They have really discovered that they can do much more with these computers and programs and applications, and are really going to be the kingpins for the rest of the staff to focus on. So all in all, we had a pretty good day, and with speakers and conversations. Mr. Trevino spoke near the end and kind of capsulized what's happened in the district the past 18 months with a number of initiatives, and how the strategic plan has provided that guiding light, as well as the board supporting and committing everything that is beneficial for students and in the long-term best interests of the corporation, and highlighted the transformational model at the high school, the separation of West Side, as well as the conversion of 2 junior highs to a middle school program, the reconfiguration of the academy, and just recently with early college, we have 43 students who started IU Northwest courses this past week. So a lot of different things happening. But to go back to the Apple, when people say, how did we get here? Basically, it's very simple. The strategic plan that was developed, strategy number 1 says we will provide an individual learning plan for each student. Plan 18 of that particular strategy, and there were 24 plans in that particular strategy, talked about developing technology and capacity for students, faculty, and administrators. Plan number 19 stated clearly the district will provide every child with a computer access at home and extended learning opportunities. Number 20, will replace textbook with computers. 21, provide technology workshops for parents and community. And number 22, administrators, faculty members, and students will meet and surpass national educational technology standards and performance indicators. Strategy 2 addresses educational experiences of choice of traditional and non-traditional learning. Strategy 3 focused on providing the support that's needed for learning and teaching to take place. Plan 4, for example, talks about using technology to ensure communications between schools and parents. And in Strategy 4, provide optimum learning and teaching environment. Plan 16 addresses creating an ongoing educational opportunity for parents, faculty, and community members to work toward improving the success for all students. So there are a lot of different mentions of the strategic plan process in there. And it all started in November of 2009. So we've come a long way in a short period of time, an extremely short period of time, with the Apple initiative that we saw today. Tomorrow, Block School will be receiving their computers. As we mentioned earlier, that while the strategic plan chartered the course for this movement toward 21st century technologies, a lot of other things have happened to get us to this point. Extensive research was done, site visits were conducted with team members to exemplary sites across the country to explore the very best patterns and procedures to put in place. When you do something of this nature, nothing is done in isolation, and essentially, equally as important is that a lot can happen when no one worries about who gets the credit or who gets all of the accolades. And that's what happens when you have team members who communicate, cooperate, and collaborate regularly. And just to highlight those who were instrumental from the Apple development team from the School City of East Chicago, these were the key people who basically set this framework in place starting last March. Ernie Jones, Scott Pruitt, Juana Valdez, Linda Jagadich, Frank Ramirez, Mary Jensen, Damian Rico, Bill Kelly, Joe Montemayor, Claudia Drayton, DeAndre Hudson, Dr. Jane Larson, Ann Kelly, Joe McCormick, Laura Hubinger, and Kristen Flores. And from the technology side of life, if you saw the cumbersome task of ordering, collecting, doing all the paperwork, and putting name tags on each individual student's computer today, you'll know that a whole lot of people had a whole lot of touches on all that equipment. So the technology department, Art Orkstrom, George Ontiveros, Winston McKenzie, Joe DiDazio, David Martinez, Sandy Kokot, Adriana Martinez, Tim Malo, Mike Crary, and Stephanie Pedbay all did extra work and services to make sure that today went as smooth as possible with deploying those areas. And of course, that whole team was led by our Director of Technology, Mary Jensen. And without her and her focus and determination, I'm sure that we would have struggled a great deal more. Would also like to thank all of the tremendous support we received from the high school staff, the custodial staff, support services, Mr. Kelly, Sodexo for their work, and all the sound systems from ESCO, and everyone who had a hand in the technologies today to make the event a very special day. And I think Mayor Copeland said it best, is that this was a historical day for East Chicago. We believe and have believed for a long time that this will be probably the most significant game changer in the educational environment in this community. Having students with take-home laptops and available to them and their teachers on a regular basis will completely modify the way instruction and learning happens here. And it was interesting when the seniors completed getting theirs today in about a half hour. I think we found about 100 students sitting in the bleachers already dialed in to their computers. And then we walked through the buildings and found the same thing with the Southmores. And I have a little bit of a blurry picture here where you could see all the Southmores getting theirs, and they had them and they were working on them. Some kids gave up lunchtime to work on their computers. Others were meeting with teachers already in hallways and vestibules to answer questions. So just this morning it caught on to, it caught a wildfire and just took off.